Welcome back to Sawmill Station. Today is one of my favorite days. This is a ride that we did a few years ago when we did the Maverick Trail meet up here, and it was my favorite ride then, and I think it's still one of my favorite rides of this week too. I really love this trail. But you remember in the last video when we did that 50-inch trail, showed you how amazing it was, told you how amazing it was, but I told you it was not my favorite 50-inch trail up here. Well, this is my favorite 50-inch trail up here. It's tight, it's technical, it's pretty gnarly in spots, but it's doable. But yeah, this is my favorite 50-inch trail up here. Great trail. I just showed you pieces of it, but oh my gosh, we love it. We love it. And it was even muddy this time. You just added a little bit extra to the experience. What a great trail. But here at the end, we just take a quick left, and it's just a quarter mile maybe to Bay Horse Lake. We all kind of meet here and regroup and relax a minute, and some snacks and everything else. Then we load back up and we head over towards the town of Bay Horse. We don't actually go into Bay Horse. There's a trail, a 50-inch trail just before you get to Bay Horse that cuts off and goes up. And so still a lot of really good riding, a lot different riding now, but we're gonna work our way up to the top, and everything else for the next little while is way up high, top of the mountains. Really pretty stuff. great views all the way across the top here. It's just views down both sides. It can be a little unnerving riding along the top of this ridge on these off-camera kind of trails. And I remember the first time that we did it, it was a little spooky. You know, the second, and now this is the third time that we've done this trail. It's not so bad, but it is a little unsettling to be on the side of a hill and having the trail slant out towards your impending doom. Just the views up here are fantastic. And I believe this is Ramshorn. I always feel like I get it wrong, but I think it's right. I think it's Ramshorn Mountain with just about a 360-degree view up there. It's just fantastic. Okay, so this is that part of the story. And if you made it this far, appreciate it. Thank you. If you ever read a book, you know, and Stephen King is pretty good at doing this, is you get, you know, starting a chapter or a section or a whatever of a book, and he just throws out there, oh yeah, you know, by the way, one of these guys is going to die before you get back. It's going to happen to one of us. I haven't said anything up to now, and nobody's going to die. I'm not saying that, but this is that part of the story where I just throw it out there that something's going to happen to one of us before we get back. Teaser. That's what they call a teaser.
I'm a rolling stone, bound and on. Come the morning, or I'll be gone. Pouring rain, wanna hear that train. There she comes, won't you get on? Won't you get on? I'ma pack my grip, one more trip, and I'ma move on. Across the track, don't look back. All the jazz roll on. City lights, what blinds your eyes? Don't look twice.
The problem with filming, the problem with having cameras that run on batteries and everything else, and sometimes just life in general, is sometimes you just don't get it on film. And this is one of those times. The battery in the GoPro had just died. We watched 3 drivers struggle in this section, and the third one, it finally got the third one. Nothing he really did wrong. It just happened. And thankfully, no one was hurt. He shrugged it off. He was okay. Embarrassed, I'm sure. I mean, it happens. But here we are. Now, it was kind of a tricky situation. It wasn't just on its side. It was kind of on its side going further downhill. So this was kind of a complicated winch procedure. Now, before all you winch masters start throwing out comments, I get it. None of us here are professionals. We did the best we could. It was kind of a 2-winch setup. We had TJ hooked from a turnbuckle to a tree, and he was winching it up onto its wheels. We had another winch uphill to pull, because just getting it up on its wheels wasn't going to be enough. It would just fall right back over. So we had to pull it uphill to get it on some fairly level ground before it was done. And all of this had to happen at the same time. So we had to winch it up on its wheels, and then have the other winch start dragging it uphill, while the winch that was holding it up had to slowly release slack. Anyway, it was complicated. And, I appointed... I don't know if that's the right word. It's like, okay, there is one man in charge, and I feel like that's really the way it needs to go. You put one person in charge, because everybody has ideas, and everybody wants to help, really. But it gets complicated when there are a lot of people shouting out directions and things. So put one person in charge. Josh was in charge. Both people running the winches listen to no one but Josh. And if somebody sees something that Josh can't see, say something to Josh so that Josh can relate to the winch operators. I don't know how else to do it, but it needs to be, precise. It needs to be fluid. It needs to be safe. Number one, safe, I guess, is the first thing, and it needs to be successful. We are not in a hurry. That's the thing, is you kind of get panicked and you immediately want to get this thing up on its wheels, and, take a breath. Everybody calm down. Everyone's healthy. Okay, everyone, nobody's hurt. There's no emergency. We just need to get it up on its wheels. So that's how this process went. Josh calling out commands to each winch operator to get it up, and it went really smooth as glass. Thank God everything went smooth as glass. Got it up, and he must have shut this thing off as soon as it went over, because I'm worried this thing's going to hydrolock. We're going to have to pull the plugs. We're going to have to do all this stuff. Going to smoke all the way home. This thing fired right up. Didn't blow a puff of smoke, didn't miss a beat the rest of the day. This is a success. It's the first time I've ever been. This happened 2 years ago when we were here. Somebody in one of the groups tipped over, and they had to do a similar kind of winch up. But this is the first time I've ever been in a group where one went over. Don't panic. Use your head. Use your equipment. Put somebody in charge. And again, I don't want to sound like I know what the hell I'm doing, because I really don't, because this was my first. I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube, and so I know from behind my keyboard I know how to do this. A little embarrassment from the guy that tipped over, and we gave him a lot of crap when we got back to camp, all in fun, and he took it well. It was thankfully just a minor setback. But from here, we're only a short ride, road ride back to camp, just back down the canyon. Nothing happens from here on out. Thankfully, it was a smooth trip back down the canyon, but pretty much the end of the day. I just wanted to thank Josh for leading the ride today. We brought up the tail on this one as best we could with the radio that we have. But what a great bunch of people again that we had today. Really a good, my gosh, a good bunch of people. And it was fun, even with the tip over, even with the thing. We all kept, kept our heads, but had a little fun with it too. And everybody made it back to camp safe. Not even a scratch on the machine. I mean, it was like it didn't even happen, other than we got it on film. Other than that, you couldn't prove it happened. But thanks to everybody that rode with us today. A couple more days coming up. So yeah, we will see you all in the next video, and we'll see you on the trail.